Maybe they'll make a Logan Paul line and you can buy all his actions.
Oh, wait,
Are
no.
you such a fan?
Definitely not. Not me.
What's good, y'all? This is Cypher from FarsideTV. You may know me as DJ, depending on what type of content you're watching. Either way, it's me, you know who it is. And today we have a special guest. It's the Talk to Him podcast. And we have Miss Tatiana. Tatiana, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm clearly on the beach somewhere. Definitely not a green screen behind me or anything. This is definitely a thing. I would have had a coconut drink with a straw, but conveniently I don't have a coconut here.
Yeah, water's fine.
Water's fine. Water's good. So yeah, I am talking and interviewing Miss Tatiana. If you don't know her, she has a YouTube channel. She reviews AEW and Ring of Honor content along with other things. I would, and excuse me if I'm stepping on your toes, Tatiana. Before
Hmm.
I let you talk about yourself and your channel, I would say before when you get started to search her, look up Tatiana AEW. It's the quickest way to get to her. It would bring up her link first, her channel first, and you got to worry about searching through anything. It's right there, Tatiana AEW. So, Tatiana, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What's your channel like? What's the energy? What do you like to talk about?
Well, I love to talk about pro wrestling. It's my favorite thing in the world. I mostly talk about AEW and Ring of Honor, but I also do talk about New Japan and WWE. So with WWE, it's only the PLEs, but I still watch it. But it's just like so much wrestling content going on right now. I just have to pick and choose what I'm sticking with and what I'll talk about from time to time. I also like to do other wrestling stuff as well, like documentaries. Also, Dark Side of the Ring was what really got me pushing with the channel. I think they were like doing season 3. And that's when I was like, you know what? I gotta tell somebody about this because I haven't really had people telling me that they watched the show. And a lot of people now watch the show because I talked about it on my channel. So that was a great thing to get people watching that show, whatnot. But that's what really got me being consistent with reviews. It's a pretty interesting show. And then from there, I decided, you know what, I'm going to be consistent and do reviews, but I have to pick a show. So I started off with Dynamite and Rampage. And then from there, I started adding a few more things for me to review on a weekly basis. And it's just something that I have to do at this point because it's like I started being consistent and I just want to keep going with it. And it was pretty much a New Year's resolution I had where I was like, all right, I want to do something different this year. So I decided that find something you love and stay consistent with it. And I have been consistent since January. So I'm really glad about that.
Nice, nice. That is the key, especially when starting a YouTube channel, is to be consistent, mostly with a topic that most people really do look for. That is a very high market, pro wrestling, especially at this point.
Hmm.
It's reached a new high of popularity. It's not just its own domain no more. Now it's a worldwide phenomenon. People are starting to get invested.
Right.
People are starting to know who Roman Reigns is. That's not a wrestling fan. Kenny Omega.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I get that, and I think a lot more people should hear stuff like that when they do start a YouTube channel, like me, because when I started, I wasn't consistent at all. I had literally
Hmm.
random subjects on my channel. So I was wondering why I can't get too many views at first because I got stuff everywhere and there's no.
Yeah. Random.
So yeah, the fact that you started in January, focusing on pro wrestling from then to now, great work on that. So
Yeah.
Tatiana,
Thank you.
I understand that in one of your videos, you were talking about a movie, and I don't know if it was The Undertaker or CM Punk. I know I watched both, but in one of those, you did make it clear in the beginning that you're about to talk about two things that you love. That's pro wrestling and horror.
Hmm.
So I also know that you're a huge understatement, huge fan of The Undertaker, right?
That
Um,
is an understatement.
and I know he represents pro wrestling and horror. So I have to ask you, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Was you into the wrestling and the horror before you invested in the Undertaker, or did the Undertaker bring you into both of those worlds?
The Undertaker brought me into both. He was the reason why I got interested in wrestling, and he's also the reason why I took a sneak peek into horror, and I started around the time that I started watching wrestling is when I started reading horror books. Um, I was so fascinated with his character that I was like, there gotta be something else like this somewhere else. So I started reading books. I haven't found anything as close, maybe like vampires or something similar or whatnot. But that's how I got into horror by just watching his character and wanting to experiencing that in another way. I'm a huge bookworm, by the way, so I love to read. Horror is really my thing. Even though I love pro wrestling and I would love to be in the business of it in some aspect, my biggest goal is to publish a horror book.
Oh, okay. You have a idea of exactly what it would be? Um,
So it would be a horror book with short stories because I'm a short story type of person, and I have like so many ideas that I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just have like one book with all my ideas and just focus on the horror aspect of that. And that's something that I've been writing for about 2 years now. So perfection is key. So when it's ready, it'll be ready.
oh yeah, absolutely. It'll come into fruition. That's what's up. I like short
Yeah.
stories. That's a good way to go. Um, so tell me, what is your favorite Undertaker match ever?
Ooh.
Just one.
I don't want to be typical and mention the Hell in a Cell with Mankind. So it's not my favorite, but that was the match that gave me the most respect for him. I don't know if people know this, but his foot was broken coming into this match. And for him to have done what he did with a broken foot is absolutely insane. And that's what given me a lot of respect for wrestlers because they come in the match and they seem okay, but we really don't know what type of injuries they got going on. And then when you find out what they're going through and what they're putting themselves through with those injuries, it just gives you so much respect. So for me, that's always been my favorite, not necessarily because of everything that went on, but because I feel like it just made me look at pro wrestling different. You know, what they do to entertain the fans, it's absolutely insane. I wouldn't recommend it going in the ring, and especially in a cell with a broken foot. Because in that match when Mankind goes through the cell, Taker jumps down on lands on his foot, and if you watch that scene, you can see him stumble a little bit because obviously it's already broken. So he stumbles a little bit because obviously the pain hits at that moment. So it's I don't know. When I seen that and when I got a backstory of it, it just made me look at that match totally different. And also, Mankind, he's a crazy son of a bitch. So
Yeah,
it's an
he's
interesting match.
insane. I'm still trying to understand the logic behind his tooth getting lodged through his nose when the chair hit it.
Yeah, I
That-
had no idea how that would even happen.
yeah. That's insane. Yeah, it's crazy. And what you just told me about Undertaker's foot, I feel like I heard something about that before, like a whisper in the wind, but I don't think I actually heard that whole story about him leaping down
Hmm.
in there afterward. Because yeah, that's a lot. Like when you say overkill, like that that match was overkill, but it was historic. It's gonna be played forever, and there's no way to top
Oh
it.
yeah,
To top it, it's one of the best gruesome matches I'd say in WWE when you know what happened in between, behind the scenes, like you said.
yeah,
I think Mankind ruptured his kidney on Impact the first time when he fell off the cell, and then when he landed in the inside of the ring from the chokeslam, the cage wasn't supposed to give in, and he did some other stuff. It's a whole list, and it's crazy.
yeah.
And back then, they went through a lot more of those things, and they kept it there. So, yeah, I really do respect that match as well. Mark Calloway, Big Mean, was that his name? Big Mean Mark Calloway in WCW or something?
Mark Hallis, yeah.
Mark Callis, yes, yes, yes. It's crazy seeing him start from there and then end up where he's at. Um,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let me tell you, WCW, they dropped the ball on a lot of up and coming wrestlers, especially the Undertaker, Steve Austin. But the thing is, even if they would have stayed, they wouldn't really have known what to do with them. And at some point they would have left. But they did drop the ball on those guys for sure.
oh yeah, Vince Russo. Wrestling's biggest mistake. But yeah, that I completely agree. Now I know you review a lot of AEW and Ring of Honor content. You said some New Japan, and you
Mhm.
dabble with WWE's PLEs. So before I get into the WWE question, I have to ask you, who is your Mount Rushmore in AEW? What four superstars, in no particular order or rank, are the top four in your opinion there? Only you, your opinion.
Oh my God. Like, how do I answer this question without showing biasness for BCC? I don't know, but Bryan Danielson is one of my favorite of all time. I think he's one of the best wrestlers of all time. So he's number one for me across all promotions, but with AEW, number one for sure. Um, damn. Kenny Omega, number two. I
Clean.
feel like I want to say Mox, but I'm trying to think of someone else before I get there. MJF for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and who else can I say?
There is a lot.
You know,
I
there is a lot, but I'm gonna go with Moxley. And the reason why is not that he's the best or anything, but he's one of the most dedicated ones that they have over there. Especially last year with the whole fiasco with CM Punk. Right when he was about to open the door and go on vacation, he had to close that door and come right back on in AEW. Um, he worked really, really hard last year. So I think if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have had as much of a successful year last year. So I'll definitely put him on there for sure.
Okay, cool. So we got Kenny Omega, we got John Moxley, we have Bryan Danielson, and your fourth person,
MJF.
MJF. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they pulled the trigger on him at some point because when they first started AEW, I'm like, he's a great talker. He really is. But I know
Oh
how
yeah.
athletic he is. I know what he can do. And yeah, it was disappointing seeing week in and week out. He just never really got to show it. You saw like a piece. So when they finally pulled
Right.
the trigger, it's like everybody's like, "Oh wow, he can do the flippy dippy." Yeah, he
Yeah.
can. He's really good. I remember watching him and Sammy Guevara a few years ago go at it, and it was magic. Him and Darby Allin, it's magic. Um, so yeah, I get that. So if you had to draft somebody from WWE and bring them to AEW, as a
Ooh.
current right now, contract ends today, starts AEW tomorrow, who would it be? Male or female?
Wow. It really goes on like who would actually fit in. Um, I know they had like the whole release thing going on, and for a little bit, I was like, "Oh, I wonder if Dolph Ziggler would fit in." You know, he's someone that I feel like we didn't get enough of in WWE. So I would like to see him at least continue his wrestling career. It doesn't have to be in AEW, but someone who's there now. Oh man, somebody who's there now. Well, okay. I don't know if he'll fit, but if WWE drops the ball on Damian Priest with this money in the bank briefcase, he can just switch on over to AEW. I feel like it's going to be one of those things where they might ruin it, but I'm watching closely. So if they ruin that, I'll take him in AEW.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because yeah, you got a good point. Damian Priest, he's in his 40s too, and I didn't know that, but he's like 42, and I feel like they kind of backed themselves in a little corner here because I mean, they can't have him fail. Like that's happened.
Right,
That kind of ruins the legitimacy of Triple H's new view on his style of WWE. If he has a failed briefcase at this point, people are gonna start tuning out again. Like, okay, we back to that. So whoever
right.
has to win. But how would they do that? Because there's not really any room for him right now. The undisputed
There
championship,
isn't.
yeah, like the undisputed championship is out the window. That's not gonna happen. Like you
No.
got The Rock or Cody Rhodes with that, so that's on lock. But Seth Rollins, which kind of hoping he go ahead and loses. I'm just, I mean, I like Seth, but I think Drew McIntyre at Crown Jewel needs to go ahead and take it. That's just my opinion. But
Right.
as far as Damian Priest, the only thing I can see them doing sense, and I'm not trying to overstep into my next question but it kind of ties into it. Crown Jewel is coming up next Saturday.
Right.
Crown Jewel is almost considered, or for a long time, it's been considered almost non-canon, or like an alternate universe in WWE where anything can. But now it's starting to bring some legitimacy within this year and last year as far as big things changing. So,
right.
let's say Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre fight, and Drew McIntyre has it right here, or he actually wins. I don't know. I can't really see any other scenario of Damian Priest cashing in besides Crown Jewel, because
so you don't think he would cash on? So you're saying that it has to be that time, like any time after that won't be the best?
Yeah, because it'll be too close. Like the Royal Rumble is their next PLE after Survivor Series, and that's in January. So nobody's even going to be caring about that because you're at the road to WrestleMania. So you can't cash in between those few months because it's too short. So he would have to literally do it next week. They've been teasing it. He hurt his foot, but now all of a sudden he might be good by then, and steal it at the end, or it's whatever happens. I feel like there's going to be a hypothetical win in there to where somebody technically wins, but then shenanigans happen to where they lose it. I mean, I feel like that. Seth Rollins has definitely deserved it initially, but I think his run is starting to kind of stale out. They were singing a song, now he's kind of reaching. They've gotten a little quiet, but now he's like making them do it now, and it's
Yeah, he got to be a little bit more interesting. That's what it is, because the fans, they could lose interest in you really, really quickly. I do believe out of him and AJ Styles, it should have been him to have had the title first. I don't know if AJ would have been able to make the type of impact that Seth has made. I do like AJ though, but Seth, he's just really different. So personally, I would actually like to see him have it a little bit after Crown Jewel. But if Damien's able to cash in and win, that would be great.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. And I keep forgetting they have the tag titles again too. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't know what they're doing with that, why they had them lose the titles just to get it right back. Like, it doesn't really make sense. And it is the thing with Dominic too. It's like, you got a group, you got to make the best decisions with them. Don't make them lose titles and be like, we'll put them back. Like, it just seems like you're not sure what to do with them when you do stuff like this. So that kind of made me lose a little bit of faith with what they're doing with Damien, because I feel like they don't probably have like a clear picture of what they want to do with him. So like I said, if it don't work out, AEW.
Yeah, I agree. So you did mention AJ Styles. Let me ask you this: who will win between AJ Styles and Kenny Omega?
Wow. First of all, that would be a great matchup.
Yeah.
I'm going with Kenny.
Going Kenny.
Yeah.
I can see it. Kenny Omega. So I will say this real quick too, and I did touch on Crown Jewel a small amount. There really hasn't been too much noise about it. It's been more so them spawning matches every episode of WWE. Like, hey, let's fight, or let's do that Crown Jewel bit,
Right.
So I don't know all the matches on there, but I do know a majority of the big ones. So we did talk about Seth Rollins and Drew. Realistically think is going to win that one? Like, who do you think is going to take that dub?
So I see Seth retaining, but I don't see Damien going for it. He might tease it, but I just don't see it happening. Personally, I would just give it a little bit of time. But I guess see him coming out there and, taunting him or whatnot, but actually going for it, I don't see that happening.
Yeah. You think it's going to be a regular exhibition played out match?
No, I feel like we're gonna get a lot from Drew. He's someone that I thought would have had the title. I do want to see him have it. I just feel like Seth needs a little bit more time. Like one thing that I realized with doing my reviews is I stopped looking at wrestling as a fan and look more at it like a booker. So I'm always looking at what makes sense, not necessarily what I want, but what makes sense that moving forward. So I feel like with such situation, this will help build up Drew McIntyre, but I don't think it's his time.
I don't think it's his time. Okay, all right. Well, we got Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. What you think is gonna happen? What's going on? What's the word?
So with the I'm not even interested in this at all. I'm gonna tell you. Logan, so I do have a little thing about people who are not wrestlers using wrestling. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I'm not into the whole YouTube thing, watching all these big YouTubers, so I don't know him that well. However, I know that his background necessarily isn't wrestling. I applaud him for coming on and doing what he does. I actually really do kind of enjoy some things about him in the ring, and I see his efforts. However, every time he's there, it's like a promotion fest where it's like, oh, Prime energy drink and all this stuff. And it's just, I remember, what was that pay-per-view? With the ladder, Money in the Bank, right?
Yeah, Money in the Bank. Him and Ricochet.
Yeah. When they were getting a table or a chair under the ring, there were Prime energy drinks under the ring. Why? Please tell me why. Is that even necessary? Once I saw that, I kind of felt a little disinterested in watching. I was like, damn, the match is good, but they're really trying to advertise. Advertising in wrestling, no, it's a no-go for me. Rey Mysterio, I really, really love Rey. However, after the whole being inducted into the Hall of Fame thing, it's like, okay, you're trying to get the best out of your career right now. Personally, if you knew you weren't going to retire right away, you could have saved that spot for someone else. And the reason why I feel strongly about that is because so many wrestlers get inducted into the Hall of Fame when they're dead. Yeah. And you could be using that time to acknowledge people while they can still be acknowledged. And for me, it was just like, could have gone to someone else. And now it just seems like he's really trying to make the best of his career, which is fine. But in terms of the Hall of Fame, I would have just given that spot to someone else, and he could have retired when he's actually done. But I really don't care about this match. Personally, if Logan could commit to being a champion and not just show up whenever he feels like it, then I'm cool with him winning. But if that's not the case, then Rey can keep it.
Yeah. And I think they have the same idea as far as how it's going to go. I think it's going to be kind of stretched out based on their history. With Logan Paul is, like it or not, technically a draw. I mean, he is.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he is.
And I think they add the extra Prime and the stuff to add. I think they build upon his heat. I think they're really trying to get people to, like you just had that reaction about it. I think they're trying to get people to genuinely dislike the guy. Like,
well, it's working. It's working.
Right. He's really promoting his drinks. Like, we have a show to do. And I don't think Rey's supposed to be champ. I think he held it longer than he was initially supposed to. I think he was supposed to hold it for, I keep wanting to call him Pablo Escobar. The guy's name.
Santos.
Guy. Santos Escobar. But he wasn't getting enough.
Did he get injured or something? He probably wasn't ready anyway, but I mean, he's talented. I just feel like not everybody really deserves a title. And also timing is really important with pro wrestling too. You can't just look at it, oh, so and so is doing well right now, give him a title. That's not enough. Timing is really important. I'm cool with Rey still having the title, whatnot. If it goes to Logan, that's cool. But that's the reason why I have issues with people who are not pro wrestlers coming into wrestling, because sometimes they just don't stay committed to actually being a champion or just being part of the roster. And that's a huge turnoff for me. So even though I don't necessarily like him, if he can be committed, then I'm cool with it. But since it seemed like Rey Mysterio's last leg of his career, let him get whatever he wants out of it, I guess.
Yeah, because I think they're gonna take it off I think it was supposed to be for Santos, but he wasn't getting as much of a pop as they would like. They couldn't really get behind him like that. He tried everything. He tried the sympathetic student teacher story. It ain't hitting. So Logan Paul being like hits and views, I can see them letting him take the belt, promote it on his podcast. Everybody sees the US belt. They're like, oh, what? Hey. And then he just makes appearances, holds it. And I think they're probably going to set up him and LA Knight, for WrestleMania, I think. And that's the only.
Oh, no.
That's a stretch. And
well,
I would give as a okay, let's get into that, right? So LA Knight supposed to go against Roman Reigns next week. Crown Jewel. I think everybody knows he's not gonna win, but it would be a farce for him to not look like he would have. So however they do it, it's gonna look close. Like, I don't care if the whole bloodline, I don't care if Rikishi get involved. They're gonna stop it from happening. But I think that's gonna have him sympathetic enough to give him something. So the closest thing he can get, if it's not Seth's world title, it would have to be, I'd say, the US, because he's definitely not beating Gunther for it. And I'm just throwing all these out there because he is the most over in the WWE right now, like even over Cody Rhodes. And they can't deny that. But they've been denying it all year. So they have to give him something. And unless he wins the Royal Rumble, something, I don't know what they have for him to do, because people actually want him to win next Friday, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be upset when he does it, because after that,
it's no surprise when it happens. I don't think Roman should drop the title right now either. LA Knight, I really do believe that they should be trying to push him to the damn moon. I know they really wasn't kind of listening to the fans at first, but some people, they just have this thing where it's like you can't deny the fans. So they're at that point where they know that they're going to have to build him up to something. But as far as him beating Roman Reigns, definitely not.
Yeah.
But I can see him going against Logan. So if Logan did get the US title, I don't know about WrestleMania, because that would mean Logan would have to have it for quite a few months, and I can't stand that. I can't stand that, no.
Yeah, it would be weird. They're really stretching out all these storylines, to be honest. They're stretching out Jimmy and Jey Uso's eventual fight. They're stretching out, and I understand it's hard to do, but when you have such good storytelling early, sometimes you write yourself into a corner. So that's why you might get a good season of a show, and then the last episode is like trash, because like that just happened abruptly. Well, because they wrote themselves in the corners. Now they got to get themselves out of it, because this doesn't make sense, So I feel like with Jimmy costing Jay and Cody the titles, which I didn't think they'd hold it for long, I feel like it was just for a pop. I mean, Jay and Cody Rhodes, like, come on. But I think it's for a pop. So he ruined his moment there, whatever. They've been fighting each other on each other's shows, whatever. They're probably going to clash at Survivor Series with the Bloodline and Judgment Day versus Cody Rhodes and his mixed up faction. I can see it coming.
Yeah.
So you have a few months between that and the Royal Rumble, and it's cool, but it leads to a lot of predictable bouts. And
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think The Rock is going to go against Roman Reigns. I think they want that to happen, but if he does call, they're not going to decline it. But I think The Rock, with this whole writer's strike going on and nothing happening, has time to actually do it. But I think they already had like a tenured relationship. So they really backstage politics and a lot of farces. But I think the final straw that broke the camel's back was when they had all those cuts. And The Rock's daughter was one of the ones that got cut. And she just started in NXT, like barely even got in.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen him since. He made that appearance on SmackDown, and then he hasn't said anything. He hasn't mentioned WWE. I think he's pretty upset again. And once The Rock's upset, it's you know what I mean. So I don't think he's gonna.
So when it comes to The Rock, I feel like once they put him in that storyline, it's gonna hit a dead end for Roman. Um, it's gonna be like you cannot get any better than that. I know The Rock hasn't been wrestling for a long time, but it's just not gonna get any better than that. So he's gonna have to drop the title to someone who they're gonna be building to take that spot. So far, I don't see anybody even remotely close to having the same type of impact that we've been seeing with Roman. I know he's heel, people don't like heels or whatever, but he's made a huge impact with pro wrestling the past like 2 years or so.
Absolutely.
So whoever comes next, they have to have that same mind frame with them. And to be honest, I can't even see who that would be at this point.
Nah, I can't either. At first, last year, I thought maybe Cody, but I don't know. I've never been a fan of 10 moveset finish match guys. Like, I feel like Cody showed us everything he can do to somebody, and I feel like even though he's put a lot of people over with regular matches, um, including Chad Gable, which I think should have been freaking. I don't know. I'm behind Chad Gable, but it's you can do a Cody Cutter, you can do 3 Crossroads. Like, if you've done all that before you even got to Roman last year, then what did you expect to do? Like, you'd have to kill him.
Yeah.
There's nothing. We've seen everything you can do. We've seen the extension. It's like, I don't know. That's like Randy Orton before he ever got his world title, doing a super RKO from the top rope or something. And then when he got the world shot, I mean, we expect at least that now, because you're going against the final boss. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, at this point, the story doesn't look like it's going to be finished at any time. I'll be honest with you. I do not find Cody Rhodes interesting. There's just something about him. It's just like kind of bland for me. Like, you need a little bit of seasoning or something. Like, even when he was in AEW, I felt the same way. However, the AEW fans let him know, we don't like you, you know, and I know that played a big part of him leaving. And they really tried to push for him to be somebody. I remember hearing somebody said that they created a TNT title for him or whatever situation is. It just wasn't getting over. He comes to WWE, and the biggest reason I think he's over is because of his family ties to WWE. You know, everybody wanted to see him come over, obviously, because of Dusty. Dustin was there too. And they want to see him continue that Rhodes legacy in WWE. So I get it, but he's not interesting. And on top of that, with Roman having major heat, it was more of a, we can't stand Roman being champion versus we want Cody Rhodes to be champion. You get what I'm saying? So to me, it was like, it could have been anybody in Roman's spot. I mean, Cody's spot. They would have wanted him to be champion because they're over Roman being champion for so long. And let me tell you, the Raw after WrestleMania was so disappointing from top to bottom until the beat down from Brock Lesnar. When I tell you, I almost turned off the TV before that came on, but I was like, Brock Lesnar tag team since when? So when that came on, I literally thought a match was going to come out of this. And I think there was like maybe like 10 minutes left of the show. And I was like, okay, it's going to be quick. But as soon as Brock put that beat down on him, and I see how Roman just pretty much just disappeared, he was just like, deuces, I'm out of here. So what I really thought was, okay, they're trying to build him up for, can I say sympathy? Like, have the fans feel sorry for him getting into it. That was a week after WrestleMania in April. Look at us now. October is almost over. And it's just like, you're like steps even further from Roman at this point. So I don't know where they're going with it at this point. Even the Bloodline storyline right now, after SummerSlam, I was just like, what more can you guys do right now to really fix the story. So it's going to take a lot. But yeah, I really feel like the Bloodline storyline not only helped WWE, but helped people be more interested in pro wrestling, because that's something that's been missing with pro wrestling, is a really good ass story. Right now, it's not all that, but there's still some interesting elements about it. So that's the one thing that brought a lot of people into watching. And when you have a champion like Roman, where you don't have to be a fan to know who he is, then the company's doing something right.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just talking to somebody at work about that too. When they first started that Fox contract, it was after the whole, oh man, rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. It was after the whole Fiend situation when he lost it.
Yeah.
When he lost his title to, I know him and Braun Strowman fought at SummerSlam. That was weird, and then Roman Reigns popped up or whatever. It was somewhere after that, and the WWE had gotten down so low in their ratings and their viewership to where the new deal seemed impossible. They wanted them to pretty much more than double their viewership, to where everybody thought, okay, this is not going to work. So, of course, first episode, Brock Lesnar F5s Kofi Kingston, gets the title in 8 seconds, and now we're putting the strap back on Brock Lesnar because politics. And
yeah,
if it wasn't, and in my honest opinion, if it wasn't for Roman Reigns with this tribal chief gimmick, I don't think that would have happened. Like, it got so bad to where it rivaled AEW at one point, which is, for it to be a 4-year company is insane. Like,
yeah,
they've been around for decades. If you got so low to where you rivaled it, which, to put into perspective, AEW was at its peak then too. So it was, AEW to me was best in its first 2 years, and then WWE was at its worst in those same 2 years. So it was easier for AEW to just step on them. AEW was giving win-loss. AEW was giving you win-loss draw slots. They were giving you actual wrestlers sitting around ringside, and while WWE had virtual screens of fans, like it was.
Oh, I hated that thing. Oh my god, it's such an eyesore.
It was like you. It's hard to concentrate on a serious match when in the background you see Johnny from Connecticut looking off into the side playing with his cat in the screen. Like it was just it's dumb. But yeah, Roman brought them up to that point, and I think they've squeezed all the juice they can out the fruit. I think 3 years is good. I think 3 years is probably the best long story they've ever told, and that it worked. Now I think it's time to go ahead and wrap it up, and I'd say I'd focus on. I like Jay's push. I think Jimmy's doing the best he can, but honestly, I think Solo Sikoa is. I think he can keep things going as long as they give him. If they push him as the monster he really is. To be honest, he actually can talk, but I mean that's his gimmick. He doesn't. So I don't know what they're gonna do. I know Braun Breaker is about to probably get managed by Paul Heyman once this is all done, because he's gonna go to the I wish we had more time, because NXT is another beast itself, and I never really cared for NXT until recently, because their black and gold brand, when they first started at Full Sail University, which I was attending there online when they started, so I thought that was cool, but different. It was more of it felt more like a BBC type group, except it was everybody. It was just hitting, it was slap, like it was, that. But then they kind of got weird. They had the little NXT 2.0 with the colors, and
I didn't like that either.
It was trash. But now they've come up.
Oh yeah, they come up a lot.
Yeah, I'm actually watching their PLEs and stuff now. So enough about that. I'll go back to Tatiana, because I do notice that Undertaker figure. I actually notice a couple of them in the background, and I would like to elaborate on what looks like a collection that you may have.
Yes, so I have a Undertaker only collection, no other wrestlers or anything. I have some figures coming in the mail, so I think I would probably be around 70, 75 by the time those come in. if he's on it, I have to buy it. Like, there's just no way. I mean, everything from shirts, socks, blankets, um, action figures. I prefer them to be loose and not in the card, but some of them I'm cool with keeping in the card. But yeah, I'm a huge, I can't even say fan. There's something about him that just, like, me being a fan of his has opened the world of professional wrestling to me. So just a quick little backstory. Um, I started watching in 98, so I was 7 years old.
Mm.
And my family, when they came to America, the easiest thing that they could pretty much understand was wrestling. Because, I mean, other than the promos, watching them in the ring, you didn't really have to translate that, you know what I mean? So they were huge fans, and they would tell us things about Hulk Hogan, Piper, Ric Flair, all these big names. So fast forward 1998, everybody in school is talking about the Attitude Era, Stone Cold, The Rock, DX, all this stuff. So we asked our grandparents if we can watch, and there was like, okay, it was cool when we were watching it. I kid you not, that first night, they was like, turn this off. You guys know, Attitude Era. At any time, the girls, they got bikinis on, barely anything on. Then they have the cursing and all that stuff, which is so different from what they're used to. So at first, it was like, no. And then we promised we wouldn't imitate them. So they let us watch it. So I didn't care for it. So one particular night, I happened to just look up at the TV, and there he was coming out, and he was just so beautiful. I was like, who is this man? I have to watch now. So every week I kept tuning in just to see him. And little by little, I'm taking note of other things that are going on. And then I started really getting into it. So that's how I ended up becoming a fan. But I was always tuning in just to see him. And since then, I was like, you know what? I gotta have a collection of this guy. I didn't have one when I was like a kid or whatever, but as an adult, I'm like, all right, I'm making some money. I got a little bit of something. Let me just start this collection. So yeah, I have a lot of action figures. Um, I can show you a couple of them. As you can see, there's some stuff like behind me right here, like teddy bears. I have a coffin here.
Coffin.
This is one of my favorites, though. Look at that. It is so beautiful. And it's so heavy, though. It probably don't look like it's heavy, but it is so good. Look at the detail on this. So like for me, what I like to do is I prefer to buy like from eBay because I can always find a good deal. And look, I even have a telephone and I keep it on my desk. Oh yeah. It works, but nobody has house phones anymore, so I can't really use it. So let me just show a couple of more figures I have here. I have like a whole box. This is not everything I have, but I do have a few here. Oh yeah, I can't imagine. Oh, I love this because there's a little detail on the shirt.
I like it. I do like it. That's vintage.
So like, oh yeah, so that's why I like to collect a lot of vintage stuff. They're really hard to find, but I'm willing to pay. I really am. So this is like a zombie version.
Wait a minute. Time out.
Yeah.
What was that? That was Undertaker?
This one?
Yeah, what?
It's a zombie. So WWE had a zombie collection of action figures. I think they had like Triple H. I can't remember who all they have, but it was a zombie edition.
That's
I
hard.
don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
And I have like a million cards too. And I collect like just little things. If he's on it, like I have to freaking have it. Like this man is just so beautiful. Like I don't know. Like when it comes to him, I don't have a budget. So I just have like a whole bunch of cards. I know a lot of people think it's weird or whatever. It is a little bit of an obsession of mine, but I still feel like he's worth it. He's absolutely worth it. Like he's just so, I don't know what it is. Every time I see him, I just fall in love. So like I said, every time I buy something, I'm like, no budget, I'm just buying it. Oh, let me show you one of my favorite ones.
Oh wow. Now that's dope.
Yes, it's so beautiful. Oh my God. I'm actually thinking about buying another one because I actually like the box. So I just want the box. So I'll probably buy another one.
The
But yeah, huh?
big red machine, the Undertaker.
Yes. So this is one of my favorite moments. Like, even as a kid, I didn't really realize that it was him, but I kind of felt like, oh, Kane looks a little taller. But I didn't think it was him. And if you watch that moment back, you'll definitely see, oh, okay, that was definitely the Undertaker. So this is definitely one of my favorite figures. It looks so awesome, and I really like the details too.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I like other wrestlers' action figures. I just can't find myself to actually buy them because I'm like, I feel like I got a really unique collection, and I don't know. I just don't want to mix other wrestlers within that. So yeah, that's why I just stick to Undertaker. It's fine with me.
Maybe they'll make a Logan Paul line and you can buy all his action.
Oh, wait, no. Definitely not. Not me. But it's so funny because there's been times like, let's say my daughter's friend come over, they'll be like, who is this stuff for? They will never guess it's mine. You know what I mean? And when I tell people that's my collection, they think I'm lying. They're like, there gotta be a boy in here. There gotta be a man here. And I'm like, no, it's all mine. And I like to see other women who have these type of stuff. It's so rare. I really don't see it. But there are other girls that like to collect action figures or stuff like that. But it's more on the rare side. Yeah.
Well, cool. I do like that collection. I like your take on wrestling and the shows and PLEs. And look, guys, if you don't know who she is, look her up on YouTube. I'll let her give you her handles here in a second, but it's Tatiana AEW on YouTube. You'll find her instantly. She's right there. She
Yeah.
covers all the pro wrestling. Support her, subscribe to her channel. This is a young Black female with knowledge of pro wrestling. It's not common at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you
I know. I hear it all the time.
and that's what I'll give you a quick backstory. I was watching NXT No Mercy, and after I finished watching it, or highlights of a certain scene or whatever afterward, I saw Tatiana's video pop up. Actually, I scrolled down. I don't know if hers was first or if it was a couple others that had their reviews. I'm like, yeah, whatever, And I saw hers, and I was like, huh, a Black female with a review on a PLE. I gotta check it out. I want to see it. I want to see it. And when I watched it, I was definitely amazed. She has knowledge of what it actually is. She's not just saying, yeah, this wrestler guy hit this body slam and it hurt. Like she actually had
Right.
so terminology. When she started talking about selling and jobbing out, or stuff, actual terminology when it comes to wrestling fans, I was instantly subscribed. I'm like, okay, I can listen to her like I would any other channel I usually listen to. And this time I have a different perspective. Usually most of the YouTubers that cover wrestling, especially the big ones, are white British men, which is, okay.
Oh, yeah.
But the goal is to hear something else. And I like hearing what she got. And to be honest, everybody covers their WWE. I mean, they do. So hearing somebody cover AEW, Ring of Honor, it's different and it brings more perspective to what's going on.
Right.
Hearing different names than the usual makes you want to tune in, especially if they're expressed right in a review video. It makes you want to know who.
Right.
I'm sorry, I almost said his name wrong. Suzuki, Wheeler, just random, just different names that aren't necessarily household names worldwide, but to the wrestling community, yeah. Wheeler Yuter,
Right.
that's what I was trying to think of. More people like him. I wanted to see more Will Ospreay matches like him and Kenny Omega. My favorite Kenny Omega spot.
He's awesome.
My favorite Kenny Omega spot is when he kicks out at one and just starts beating the mat. That is like my favorite thing because it's like it breaks everything. It's literally the best thing. The first time I ever see him do that was at Revolution, AEW's. To me, their WrestleMania at the time, because to me it was like the biggest.
Oh yeah.
And it had the best matches. And yeah, it was Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. And the Young Bucks gave Kenny a golden V trigger. They hit him with everything. It was a spot fest, but it's fine. When they do a spot fest, I'll watch it. I don't care if it's 30 minutes. It'll be spot, spot, spot. That's cool. When they hit him with that and he kicked out at one and start beating the man, I'm like, I was behind him. And it's what makes it more interesting.
Yeah,
Hangman Adam Page's buckshot lariat is it's not easy to do.
it's
Logan
not.
Logan Paul does it, and it makes you hate him more because he does it pretty good too. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah,
but
he's not bad.
he's
He's
not
not bad.
bad.
He's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, he just spams moves like a creative player. He just does random moves, and it's like, okay, frog splash into a stunner, arcade, okay, whatever. Just but it's
Right.
I'm a big fan of them. Kenny Omega, John Moxley, Hangman Page. I don't know what happened to Pac Neville. I don't know where he's
Oh
at.
my God, he got injured again. Yeah, he was in the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So I think he only had one match after his injury. Maybe no, he had two matches after his injury and he got right back on the shelf, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate because that was one of the best openings I've seen to an AEW show when they first started. No promos, no backstage segments. It started off with Pac versus Kenny
Yeah,
Omega in a 30-minute Iron Man match. I was like, what is going on? Like, this show just spams greatness. Like, it's gives you something you didn't even know you needed. And it's just off the bat. They might open the show in the middle of a fight. Like, I want to see that back in AEW. I want to
yeah.
see Ring
It
of Honor.
was a little bit more interesting before. They
Yeah.
got to get back on that.
Yeah, and I feel like they're starting to get back on. They're getting back in the swing of things, and I think we can talk about CM Punk on another episode because I think it's going to take a amount of time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot to unpack there, but
Just letting you know, I'm a CM Punk stan over here. So
I like
yeah,
CM Punk too, and there's always two sides to the story, so I don't want to hear he's a problem. I know how the companies are anyway, so you can't
right.
say, "Oh, he's a problem child." Like that's like getting fired from different temp services, and it's you. It's like, no, that's not always the case. So we
Yeah,
maybe if Tati's cool with it, maybe we can do another video at some point and discuss CM Punk as
yeah,
a
sure.
So we are gonna wrap things up. I know Tati has things to do. I know I have things to do, and I know you need to go to her channel and subscribe. Is there anything that you want to say to the people before we wrap things up, Tatiana?
Yes. So you can check out my channel. I'm also on Instagram. Just type in Russell Tata. You'll find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm probably not the best with social media, but I try my best to reply to everybody. Um, I in terms of reviews, I like to keep it 100. Even if I love AEW, if I love WWE, I'm going to tell you what's wrong. And that's the thing that I love about what I do is that other people will bullshit you, just trying to, I don't know, get subscribers by telling you things that you want to hear when really what you need to hear is what's really happening. So, I think that's what set me aside from other YouTubers is that, despite who I like and who I don't like, I'm going to let you know what's right and what's wrong. And I do think I have somewhat of a different perspective when it comes to professional wrestling because I try to keep me being a fan away from my reviews and keep myself from not being biased. Yeah, here and there, you're going to hear me talk about Kenny Omega's abs and how cute MJF is or whatever. But when it comes to the actual quality of the show, I'm going to give it to you guys straight every single time.
Great. That's awesome to hear. I really adored this interview, Tatiana. I'm glad to hear your perspective on Crown Jewel, AEW, WWE, The Undertaker,
Yeah.
your collection, your YouTube channel. And again, make sure you subscribe to Tatiana's channel and hit the bell for notifications so you can get more great videos and daily wrestling content. While you're there, also think about Farside TV. That's me, the jerk with the different gray shirts on that doesn't wear a jacket with a beach background. And you'll definitely like what you see. Farside TV, we're starting to integrate more wrestling into it because Farside TV is a diverse channel with different avenues. It does have music, it does have animation, and we're starting to incorporate wrestling in it. If you haven't checked it out, the last two videos I had were like if WWE superstars were DBZ characters, and I analyze. You should check it out. I think you'll like it. I think you'll agree. And eventually I'll do AEW if the AEW superstars were DBZ characters, and they have a lot of things in common, a lot more than you would initially think. I think, in my opinion, much the same thing. If you watch Dragon Ball Z and watch wrestling, so many similarities, and I discussed that in the video. You'll like it. So yeah, we got Tatiana, we got FarsideTV. Subscribe to both of us and pound that bell to get more notifications on daily content. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Tati. I hope to talk to you soon. And I hope you enjoy.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys. See y'all later. We out. Bye.
See ya.